and welcome everybody to our newest and most recent District 1 community meeting. My name is Peter Schwartzbein. I'm your City Council representative for District 1, also the Mayor Pro Tem of our beautiful city of El Paso, Texas. And this is our monthly District 1 community meeting. This is usually one of 4 community meetings we have every month. Before COVID, we would have our District 1 community meeting, which would be on the evening, usually at a time where we invited other guests to come in and present. In the case of today, we have representatives from Pioneers 21 as well as TXDoT to go and present today. But in previous times as well, we've seen everybody from MCAD to the El Paso Water Utility to other nonprofits as well. In addition to that, we also have our Coffee with Our Councilman series, where we would stop at different coffee shops or tea shops like Tippy Teas or Starbucks or Mas y Menos and others throughout District 1 around lunchtime in the afternoon, so that people could stop by, learn a little bit more about what was going on in the community, and also let us know what's going on in their neighborhoods as well. And then finally, we also had a Pizza with Peter, which was a fun sort of family-oriented community meeting where we would go to different pizza places and share a couple slices, and again, allow me and my office staff to answer your questions and concerns. Since COVID, we shifted to an all online virtual community meeting space, with the beginning of the pandemic having 3 virtual Coffee with Your Councilmen hosted on Facebook Live. And now we're segueing into a sort of hybrid model. We have our virtual community meeting as well as a weekly Coffee with Your Councilman. And as the fall arrives, depending on where we are with our numbers, we will be segueing to both in-person and virtual meetings as well when it comes towards our community meetings. As always, to get in touch with us, you can email us at district1@elpasotexas.gov. That's really the best way to get in touch with us, or you can call our office at 915-212-1002. Also, you can follow us at facebook.com/EPDistrict1, at twitter.com/EPDistrict1, and also at Instagram at EPDistrict1. And before we go any further, I do want to give a big shout out to the District 1 staff who holds it down for the mighty West Side and for District 1, and that is Luz Esquivel. She is our office manager. She is the one who makes sure that the trains try to run on time and I get to meetings on time. And she also deals a lot with the constituent concerns coming from our email and phones. So a big round of applause to Ms. Esquivel. And then also we have our chief of staff, Larry John Porras, who we're very fortunate to have with our office. He helps to establish the vision for our community, to make sure that we have policy that's enacted and put in place that offers the best of what we can bring as your representative for District 1 as well. And I wouldn't be able to do the work that we do on behalf of y'all out there without the great and hard work from John and from Luz. So thank you both for being here today and for being there every day. We have a couple of updates before we go into our first presenter, which is Ms. Jennifer Wright from the Texas Department of Transportation. Hi, Jennifer. First off, this weekend we have a great in-person opportunity for some art and culture in our community. We're having a District 1 guided tour of the El Paso Museum and the El Paso Museum of History and the El Paso Museum of Art. So we're meeting this Saturday, July 24th at 2 p.m. Masks will be required, as well as encouraging social distancing. We will be meeting at the, I believe at the Museum of History. Is that correct, John?
Yes, sir, that is correct. We'll be meeting at the entrance of the History Museum, and from there we'll be greeted by city staff who will take us on that tour, and then transitioning to the Museum of Art. It's going to be optional whether you'd like to participate in the second one, but we'll be transitioning pretty smoothly one after the other.
And so what's really great about this and why I encourage y'all to attend is there's 2 really great exhibits going on. One is the Sunset Heights neighborhood exhibit at the Museum of History with some really great and wonderful personal artifacts from different families that have lived in Sunset Heights and the evolution of that neighborhood, as well as a really amazing show that's actually closing this weekend on, it's called Low and Slow Lowrider Culture in El Paso. And what's really fantastic is that the curator for that exhibit, Erica Marine, worked with local El Paso lowrider clubs to actually get their input into building out this exhibit. So it is very much a community-driven exhibit, and curator Erica Marine, as well as other MCAT staff, will be giving part of this guided tour as well. So it should be something really fantastic. Unfortunately, we are capping attendance for that guided museum history tour at 20 people. So we already are getting filled up. So please email our office at district1@elpasotexas.gov to sign up for that. And since you'll be downtown, you can also check out some of the hotels that have opened up recently. If you haven't had a chance during the last year and a half, the Paso Norte Hotel is open. The Dome Bar is just as beautiful as you remember it. And on the 10th floor, they now have that great famous overlook that you saw in so many El Paso postcards for the Mexican Revolution. You can now go out on that deck again, and there's a wonderful restaurant and bar on the 10th floor as well that you can check out, the Paso Norte Hotel, and explore just a lot of what else is going on throughout our downtown as well. So that's going on this Saturday. Again, RSVP by emailing us at district1@elpasotexas.gov. Another thing that is going on as well is we currently are accepting applications and resumes for our redistricting commission. Yes, every 10 years when the census comes out, the city goes and creates a redistricting commission. It's part of our city charter, essentially our city constitution, where each city council representative picks a resident from their district, as well as the mayor picks somebody from the city to go and come up with lines and boundaries for our districts 1 through 8, based upon population growth and other factors. So we currently are asking for residents who are interested to send their resume to our office at district1@elpasotexas.gov. If people are interested, we can also send a description, I think, in the comments about the qualifications. Essentially, you cannot be an elected official. You can't work for the city currently to be part of that, and some others as well. But it's an extremely important committee and commission to be on, because that will help shape the boundaries for the next 10 years for our district and for the city as a whole. So that's really great. Really quick before we go into Jennifer, I wanted to share this information with you. Our office also has a text message traffic alert system. Maybe by a show of hands, we can see how many people here have been using it or receive our text message traffic alerts. If you get them, you can put up your virtual hand right here. Let us know that you get them. We started this in 2016. We're currently the only office from the city, county, state that offers free text message traffic alerts or paid text message traffic alerts, but ours costs as much as whatever your text message costs, which is, I don't even know, but it doesn't seem to be a lot. Basically, the whole idea is when Jennifer and TXDoT send out their alerts for what closures are going on at night, or if there's an accident, we'll go and send them out to you. If there's an accident that we see on one of the news channels or we see on Twitter, rather than you have to go and turn on the TV, we send those traffic accidents out to you so you can have a heads up. Over the last month with our brand new monsoon season in June, we've been sending out some weather alerts as well, just because it seems that the weather has severely impacted travel and mobility when we get some of those monsoon and torrential downpours. So we've been doing that as well. We encourage you to sign up. The instructions are right there. If for whatever reason, texting the word West Side to that cell phone number is hard, you can also just send us an email at district1@elpasotexas.gov, and we can sign you up with your cell phone if you want to leave that as well. Whatever way works for you. As you'll be seeing soon, we have a lot of new major transportation road construction projects happening on the west side over the next 2 to 5 years. So those text message traffic alerts will come in mighty handy. I promise you, and we'll continue to do our job representing you and being that good customer service node that we can be, and we are at District 1. Again, we are seeing an increase in our COVID numbers in terms of positive cases. I think the overwhelming number, over 90% of the new COVID cases, are from unvaccinated El Pasoans. So please, if you have not gotten your vaccine, or you know folks that are on the fence, please encourage them to come and get vaccinated. I was at Walmart today. You can literally walk into Walmart and get it for free. The city has still their COVID care clinics that are open for free vaccines, as well as a convention center as a location as well. It's not too late at all for folks that are on the fence to come and get vaccinated. There is no shame when it comes to this COVID vaccine game. Get your shot, get vaccinated. Don't just keep yourself safe, keep your friends, your family, and your sons, daughters, and your grandparents safe as well. We are seeing nationally that the folks that are getting it tend to be those that are over 12, as well as others that are unvaccinated. Again, children under the age of 12 cannot get vaccinated at this point. They're still, still going through that process. So it's really important that we do that. The Delta variant, as of today, has not yet been tested in any populations in El Paso, but it probably will be a matter of time before that variant comes in. But again, regardless of if and when the Delta variant comes here, it's really important that people get out there, continue to get vaccinated, and continue wearing your mask if you're in a place where you're going to be in an area with a lot of people. I still wear my mask if I'm at Albertsons. Still wash my hands. There are a few amount of breakthrough cases. I saw a fun video on Instagram that talks about, the fact is that they're like, oh, well, it's only 95% effective, and you can still get the vaccine if you still can get COVID even if you have the vaccine. Well, it's like, the comparison the doctor used was, and again, it was like a 30-second Instagram post, but he's like, you can go and you wear a seatbelt, you can still die in a car accident if you wear a seatbelt, but you're still going to wear a seatbelt every time you go and ride in a car. So the larger point being with that, again, is that we have an opportunity. We know that the vaccines work. We know that the vaccines cut down tremendously. If you were to catch COVID on being hospitalized or having any sort of severe effects, and it also works 95% effectively in not spreading it out to others as well. So again, anybody has any questions, they can reach out to us. You can also go to epstrong.com. And again, don't forget the 4 W's of District 1, wash your hands for at least 20 seconds, wear your mask if you're in a public place, even if you are vaccinated, watch your distance at times. And then number 4 is Wu-Tang, because it is for the children. So that is what we have. Again, we really look forward to seeing y'all on Saturday at our upcoming guided museum tour with District 1. But right now, I would like to introduce our first speaker. It is Miss Jennifer Wright. She is the Public Information Officer for the Texas Department of Transportation. She has been with the department for over 6 years. She is a native from El Paso, and I'm not going to ask her what high school she went to, but she has worked in communications for over 30 years. You can sign up for her weekly emails, which I promise you are super fun and exciting and engaging. To learn more about the upcoming planned traffic closures by emailing her at jennifer.wright3@text.gov or giving her a call at 915-790-4340. And we will put that information up as well. And they really are very entertaining. You get a lot of personality with them. And it's they're enjoyable to read. So Ms. Wright, I want to hand off the virtual floor to you right now. I'm really excited about this presentation. I had a chance to meet with Ms. Wright as well as the district director, Tomas Trevino, about 3 weeks ago, I think, or 2 weeks ago at TXDOT's headquarters here in El Paso, the district office, which is right past 375. really a lot of great exciting projects. The three that she's going to be highlighting today are going to be the I-10 expansion project, east and west from the Upper Valley Mesa exit up to the New Mexico state line, the major ArcCraft reconstruction and improvements on the ArcCraft corridor, as well as some much needed pedestrian safety improvements, including pedestrian rail on Mesa Street between Cincinnati and Baltimore Glory Road. And of course, if you have any other questions about any other projects that might be going on the west side, Ms. Wright is also here to give some updates of that as well. And so again, the format for this is Ms. Wright is going to give her presentation. And then if there's any other questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the comment section over to our side over here. I'll read out to them to Jennifer. And if anybody else has any other questions they'd like to ask in person, just raise your virtual hand like so, and we will get to them as well. So thank you again. And Ms. Wright, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you so much. If you guys hear that squealing in the background, I have a little dog who vocalizes in that way when you leave or when you come home, he does that screaming. So sorry for the dog noises if you hear them. Thank you so much, Representative Mayor Pro Tem Peter Schwarzbein. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's always a pleasure for me to let people know what we've got in the works at TXDoT, because we always have a lot going on and it's all over town. And so I'm particularly excited about the projects we're going to share today. I had to read that message. If I share, it's going to make everybody else stop sharing, but that's a good thing, right? The projects that Representative Schwarzbein mentioned are just really going to make huge improvements to all of our lives. Slideshow. Sorry, I had this all figured out and now it's not working. From beginning.
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, well, anyway, so the I-10 West and ArtCraft interchange is what these slideshows are about. I could talk more about the pedestrian rail, but you know how in the old days, you would always know when you were entering New Mexico and leaving Texas because the pavement changed and it wasn't for the better. But lately it's been the other way around. And so all of us who travel north on I-10 and you cross over to the New Mexico state line, it's wider, it's newer pavement, and proud Texans like me have just not enjoyed that reversal. And so now we're catching up to New Mexico in this regard. And our pavement will be the newest pavement as we widen I-10 from Mesa Street all the way to the state line. So that means we're going from 2 lanes in each direction to 3 lanes in each direction. It's going to be a huge improvement. And the good news is we are widening to the inside, meaning that we didn't have to do a lot of right-of-way acquisition, and we already own the land we're going to build on. And so it's going to be a real boon. It's a $170 million project. Because we met with engineers, this is what the lanes are going to look like. And I know that that's really not very thrilling, except that it's going to be asphalt. What's asphalt now will be concrete, will be longer lasting and sturdy. It'll be 13 inches of concrete pavement with 4 inches of hot mix bond breaker on the bottom. Also, we're doing some operational improvements along the way. So we're looking at a new Los Mochis overpass because of all the development going on there, and then bypass ramps at Thorn Avenue. Now, some of this design may be broken out into a separate project. What we expected really to be we have $170 million for it. But as anyone who's done any type of remodeling or construction during this pandemic knows, the cost of materials has skyrocketed. And so because this is letting in October, we're looking at ways where we can shave off some of those unexpected increases in material costs. So some of this, for example, this bottom portion here, the new bypass ramps at Thorn, may be pulled out as a separate project and phased in at a later time. The nice thing about Thorn is we would rebuild the bridge and then add these lanes. You would exit to go, the Red Road exit would be further back. You would exit, but then you wouldn't have to stop at the light at Thorn. You'd just be able to proceed on through. A lot of what we're doing on this project includes the ramp reversals. And if you haven't heard me talk about ramp reversals before, it's basically means that we used to put the exit as close as possible to the intersection because that was convenient. When Texas started building its first highway system, we needed exits with Texas turnarounds, U-turn lanes, so that ranchers could get to their land. And so it was most convenient to put that U-turn as close to the exit as possible so they didn't have to drive a long way out of their way. That was rural Texas. That's the way it used to be 100 years ago when the highway department was first formed. So now though, as places become more urbanized, more built up, more metro, there's so much more traffic that you need the exits to be farther back so that you can get off the freeway and have plenty of room on the frontage roads to store your vehicle. And then the entrance ramp can be where the old exit ramp was, because that means the merge action ends up on the frontage road where people are going at lower speeds anyway. And it makes for less friction on the main lanes because you merely just get off and there's not that mix of traffic that's hair raising sometimes in El Paso where traffic's coming on. And I know we can all think of places in El Paso where traffic merging on is mixing with traffic merging off. If you think about the area between Geronimo, say, and Piedras or Cotton, there's a lot of activity there, and you need to be very alert so that for all that merge action. Anyway, that's what we're doing here. And so as you can see here, the areas that are yellow are the old entrance ramps, and this would be the merge action and then the exit. So the orange part is where the new exit ramp, and that's why we call them ramp reversals. We're taking out, basically they occur at the same place where the old entrance will be the new exit, and where the old exit will be the new entrance. So that's going to help also with some of the development out there because people will be able to get off the freeway and be closer to home. I-10 at Red Road, this is what this looks like now. It will include some changes. I think that must be the next slide. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these technical slides because they can just be hard to see on this screen and a little bit confusing, but it will be improved. So proposed retaining walls include MSC walls, and then some of them will have this aesthetic on them that will make them prettier. Here's something that a lot of people are interested in, and this is the art craft interchange, which we've all been stuck behind those giant fan blades. And so this aspect that we're going to include in the I-10 will accommodate this project, which is also, it's going to come up after, but it is coming up, and I have more in-depth information on it. But basically we're making direct connectors, like if you're going I-10 in the northern direction, you can exit directly and miss this intersection. So no more waiting behind those large fan blades that will stop you for about 20 to 30 minutes if there's more than one as they work to get through this intersection. So we're designing this. This is not the final design. The actual design is changing to try to minimize this right-of-way amount that we're taking here. So I did recently see a new version of this that is slightly altered from this, but this one is still under development. It just gives you the general idea. It also makes improvements all the way to basically the New Mexico state line, those interchanges too, where you won't have to stop at every intersection. Some will be overpasses there. I think it might be West Side Drive is maybe becoming an intersection where you won't have to stop anymore. This Artcraft is a state highway after all. Okay, let me go down to the next slide. So here's an example of some of the other improvements coming along with this. And that is, you can see on the left, our old school message boards. And on the right, what you see is the new generation of message boards where you can actually put color. You can add the shields that show you exactly what highways we're talking about. It also includes wrong way detection systems at 6 of the ramps. There's no greater nightmare than the thought of somebody getting on an exit ramp and heading the wrong way on the highway at a high speed. These wrong way detection systems, you'll see one going in downtown at Oregon, and in that area, in that stretch of the Border West Expressway or Border Highway where they meet down there. And they include flashing lights to alert the driver. They alert the police department. And so there's some emergency messaging that goes along with them. We're also going to change the lighting along there to the new high mast illumination fixtures throughout the project limits. So that's going to be a big improvement. So the Artcraft interchange that I just mentioned, the schematic is only at 30%, which means we still have a ways to go. And we don't anticipate letting it until May of 2023. And it's going to include those direct connectors, of which I spoke. Here's the current configuration, which is giving everyone headaches. We have this to be determined. We've all heard this is going to be an Amazon warehouse over here. Where's my mouse? We'll go over there. There. And then the West Town Marketplace. So there's a lot of commercial activity there. Okay. So that explains those. And this, of course, is causing a lot of the traffic that we see there because it's coming in from the Santa Teresa point of entry, the port of entry. The main products that we see coming through there are consumer electronics, livestock, wind turbines, which are the really frustrating ones. So there's just a lot of commerce coming through that, and it's all headed to I-10. So New Mexico sort of benefits from the border traffic, but all of it ends up on I-10. In fact, that's true for border traffic citywide. It comes across any one of the ports of entry. It all ends up on I-10. Here's a familiar site that's can be vexing. Now, what I don't have slides about is a project coming up on the west side. We have many, many safety projects letting. The Texas Transportation Commission has made the road to zero a priority. They want to have 0 deaths on highways attributable to car crashes by the year 2050. Now we know that most crashes are preventable. They're mostly due to human error. And I think that the only way to truly get there in 2050 is with autonomous vehicles or some type of artificial intelligence helping humans drive. But we can still do everything that we've learned over our 100-year history that we can put into play. And currently, what happened this year is that the Texas Transportation Commission released several, I think it was like $200 million. El Paso got about $60 million to implement safety projects throughout our community. And the way we did it this year is different than the way it's going to happen next year. is we basically had a bunch of ideas, the projects we wanted to implement. And so we submitted them and they chose the ones through a ranking system. This happened statewide, of the ones that they thought were, the best projects. And we really did get quite a few of them. So with some of that safety money, and largely because Representative Schwarzbein met with our district engineer and basically we met over at Cincinnati district and discussed what was happening there, because we've had several pedestrian fatalities there in that area. Again, preventable, mostly due to human error. Basically all of those pedestrian fatalities were due to human error, but what can we do to help people stay safer? So one, improve the lighting. So we've added the additional lighting there, which is maybe not on right now because of the construction happening there, but we've also designed some pedestrian improvements such as safety rail, both on the outside of Mesa Street that will help channelize pedestrians so they don't do mid-block crossings, and then improving the landing, the pedestrian landing portions with raised medians that then will help people stay safe there, and adding more pedestrian railing in the middle to further discourage mid-block crossings. We're also making some changes at the driveways over by some of the clubs there right on the corner where there's just been a wide apron of it's like all driveway. We're basically eliminating some of that to better direct traffic there so that pedestrians aren't crossing this long driveway that spans 4 or 5 businesses in the same area. So those improvements are coming. We're also, along with that, we had, I think it was almost a dozen different locations that are getting those types of improvements. And then there's another project where we have about 6 locations across town where we're adding either pedestrian railing or raised medians. And the first one that started was Copia. And we're adding a raised median there where you have the continuous left turn lane where cars can be coming from both directions and pull in and make a left turn. So we're putting medians there and basically channelizing the places where traffic is able to make left turns and U-turns, which greatly improves the safety in the area for both pedestrians and drivers. So it really narrows down what people have to be aware of. When you channelize the traffic, people know that there's only going to be one opportunity for somebody to be making a left turn in front of them. And so that's what they have to be aware of. But when you have the continuous left turn lanes, you have to worry about every cross street and cars coming in both directions and watching out for all of that. So that's coming up. Again, that's going to be in another few locations too. With the group that is the group in which the Mesa improvements is coming on. We started out on Dyer because, as we all know, we have the wonderful Mesa rehabilitation project going on. And we didn't want to have both of those projects at the same time going on. And that is my presentation. I hope I wasn't too long, and I'm happy to take any questions that there might be. And I can leave my presentation up if anyone wants to refer to it for just a few more minutes while we take questions. And when it becomes apparent nobody has questions about this project or these projects or this presentation, then we can, I'll stop sharing and I could just take questions about any other item you might like to discuss. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you again, Ms. Wright. And since you kind of brought up Mesa Street right now, since it's the Mesa Street in the room, what exactly is going on at this point? Because I mean, I know with the storms and everything, there's a lot of debris, but on the left hand, the dedicated left hand turns on the median, they're pretty much unpaved at this point. There isn't, I can't even call it necessarily paved. The intersections aren't have not been updated. The driveways are still there, and you still got the lumpy lumps that are going on throughout large parts of the project. And we get these calls because, you know, our community doesn't, at the end of the day, whether it's a state highway or a city road, people are still driving it on their same car and still paying, you know, the same taxes that go both to the state and to the city. So can you help people understand what exactly they're looking at and where we are with the Mesa Street project before we go into these others? And again, if anybody has any other questions for any of what they've seen here or any other, you can also put it in the chat section. I'll read them out to Ms. Wright as well.
Are there any questions in the chat yet?
No.
Okay. Okay, just curious. So yeah, Mesa Street, I'm happy to report that we started the process known as diamond grinding as soon as we could get the contractor in here. It's a subcontractor, and they I recently posted a video on Twitter. If you don't use Twitter, you might consider getting on it and just following us, because we do report on all types of projects happening with little short videos, or just letting you know when a road closes unexpectedly. And is there really any way you can get enough notifications? Because I love the texts that I receive too from District 1, and I can follow us on Twitter and find out what's going on too. And my emails is another way. And also you can go to drivetexas.org and sign up for email alerts, which is a lot of emails, but you'll definitely know about all kinds of closures. So right now on Mesa, we're doing the process known as diamond grinding. Nice informative video on Twitter. And we are smoothing out the roadway for it to accept the final layer of asphalt pavement. So all of those gaps you drive on that are in between the driveway you're trying to get to and the street level, all of that's going to be leveled up. All of the left turn lanes that did wash away in our tremendous rainstorms we've had lately, all of that will be paved after this diamond grinding. So the ride was not up to our standards when the contractor did the first 2 lifts of pavement. It was too bumpy. And I am talking just the regular pavement, not necessarily the manholes and the water meter things that are also protruding there. Just in general, it was not the kind of ride that we like. So we insisted on this diamond grinding, where they take like an industrial drill, industrial diamonds that will go along and they smooth out the pavement. And it's going to be about 4 to 6 weeks while they undergo this process in order to basically make the street in better shape to accept that final layer of asphalt pavement. They still will be having to rebuild intersections in there. And of course, the rain is a delay factor, not so much on the diamond grinding, but on the pavement. So we have seen some delays on that project because of that. But for me, this diamond grinding is a huge step in the right direction. I do notice that the contractor's been out there marking those manholes with, bright orange paint. I want to remind everyone that when you're on Mesa Street, you are in a construction zone. And in a construction zone, you need to slow down, pay attention, allow extra following distance, because I know some of us tailgate as a matter of habit. You need to allow extra following distance between yourself and the car in front of you so that you can see the pavement yourself, so that you can see what's coming up. Also, slowing down is super important, because if you hit a bump at 40 miles an hour, it's vastly different than if you hit it at 55 or 60 miles per hour, as far as what it might do to your tires, rims, undercarriage, your car. So we do recommend that you be aware you are in a construction zone. You need to expect the unexpected and pay attention. And that way you will do far less, it'll be far less jarring to you on that roadway.
So going back to the presentation on a couple of these projects. So the I-10 project, the I-10 expansion, again, Upper Valley Mesa, all the way up to the New Mexico state line, $170 million, correct?
Right.
How much was the Go 10 project that we all lived through over the last, for about 3 years or so?
It was over 300 million.
Okay,
It had a lot more because we were adding
adding the frontage roads.
CD lanes.
Yeah.
So adding CD lanes and then reconstructing every single bridge in there. And there were 29 bridges on that project where we're not talking just overpasses. You know, El Paso, especially on the west side, is rife with bridges that go over arroyos, and you know, you're not even aware you're on a bridge, but there were 29 bridges on that project. So, 360 mine, but don't quote me on it.
That's fine. When do you see that project starting?
Probably early 2022. It'll
First quarter of 2022.
Yeah, probably, and likely January, because when it'll go to bid, and then the contractor will spend time making the plan and gathering materials on hand and that type of thing.
Is it the same contractor that's doing Mesa Street?
Oh, we don't know yet.
Oh, fun.
Ha 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 ha. It will let in October, and that means we put it out.
Okay.
We put it out to bid, and Texas, you know, we still have a low bid system, and that's who wins. You hear the dog?
Okay, I hear that. Okay, so first quarter 2022. Is there a rough idea, más o menos, of how long the entire project will be to finish? You're thinking 24 months, 36?
No, I think it's about a 2-year project.
Okay.
But again, you know, some of it's going to depend on the contractor and, you know, how far we go on the plans, and are we going to pull some of it out and have it be phased? So
Okay.
stay tuned on that one. I'd be happy to come again, you know, anytime, but if you wanted to talk about after this project, and as we gear up for construction, that would be really great.
And then I just had one more question relating to, that dog sounds amazing, by the way.
You know, yeah.
With the
Husband's
sort
coming
of,
home from the grocery store, and he's
this-
very excited.
that's great. The Art Craft corridor improvement project, right? Major infrastructure project in terms of the improvements that are going to go on Art Craft, right?
Right.
Okay, so looking at elevated overpasses on West Side, on Upper Valley, brand new I-10 ramps directly onto I-10. It's at 30% at this point, design, correct? So one thing that we hear from my office, and you know, I've been in office since July of 2015, again, is not just the windmills and the 18-wheelers that are coming there through from the Santa Teresa Intermodal Rail Yard, the largest, you know, intermodal rail yard in the Western Hemisphere, but also from the Santa Teresa Port of Entry. We don't just hear about the traffic gets backed up, but because of the volume that's there, and it shows that there's been what a over 25% increase over the last 3 years, if not more than that. We hear a lot about the noise as well. So I'm curious, what are the plans? And if not, how can we make sure that we advocate that there's the proper amount of sound mitigation infrastructure, the sort of sound walls that you see in other major infrastructure projects and other highway projects as well? Can you help us understand a little bit more about that and what's being planned?
Right. So this is what's interesting about what you said, because you mentioned that there's already been a huge increase in the traffic there. So when TXDoT undertakes a project and we feel as though it's going to add traffic, thereby changing the noise level by a certain range of decibels, Oh my gosh, there's a big mosquito. Sorry, if you see me doing this, it's a mosquito. There, if there's a certain change in the decibel level, then it's eligible for the possibility of a sound wall. But the way sound walls get built, it's like on border highway, you see there are sound walls on I-10 between, I guess, McRae and Lomaland. You see there's a sound wall on or Yarborough and Lomaland. You see there's a segment that has a sound wall there, and some segments don't. We put that to a vote of the affected property owners. It also happened on a recent widening that we did on Loop 375. So it really has to do with if there's an increase in the noise, we do a sound study. And if there's an increase in the noise, then, that's because we've added lanes or, added capacity. Then we put it to a vote with the affected properties owners only. And those are the properties that are immediately adjacent. So, and it has to be 51% carries the vote.
So when would that vote occur?
Um,
Talking after 2023, after the project's already starting?
No, it would be done in advance of the project beginning. It would be done within, because we do it before we let the project, because when we let the project, it includes those sound walls.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing that I'm thinking about right now, and I'm sure there's others on here that are from the neighborhood that could talk a little bit more, is that there already has been that increase in traffic. We've already seen the data that you have referenced already shows that with the increase of global trade and commerce coming in through the Santa Teresa port of entry, of commerce and trade coming in and freight coming in through the Santa Teresa intermodal rail yard. I don't know if you know, but I think it's close to 85% of all freight traffic coming in through Long Beach and the Los Angeles port comes through Santa Teresa, the intermodal rail yard there. It seems that we've already seen that increase in traffic volume, which directly correlates to decibels and the amount of traffic there. So I do think sooner than later, having that conversation with those affected neighborhoods in that area is extremely important. And I just want to offer myself in my office if we can help facilitate those meetings there, because I think this project, its success is not just necessary about making sure that those 18-wheelers and that freight and those windmills get out of that area in an efficient way, but also making sure that the sound mitigation infrastructure is appropriate and is in place for those neighborhoods there as well, right off the Artcraft border.
Yeah. Thank you. And we will be holding public meetings on this project, and that is the opportunity for people to weigh in. And so we do welcome your office helping us publicize those meetings, and we welcome everyone who is willing to attend. We really do rely on public input. We've made massive changes to certain projects because of public input received specifically by neighborhood people who have individually attended those public meetings and literally changed the course and the design of projects. I-10 Connect being the perfect example, where we had people come from the Chamizal neighborhood and complain about the trucks that were lining up along Paisano 7 days a week or 5 days, certainly during commercial times, and idling along there and just really putting out a lot of particulate matter and exhaust that had a deleterious effect on the community there, on their air quality. And so we removed the traffic into Juarez from Paisano, and now everyone has to go, when that project's complete, everyone can access I-110 into Mexico only from I-110 from I-10 or from US 54. And that was literally, a few concerned citizens from that neighborhood who pointed this out to us. And of course, idling traffic puts out far more exhaust and particulate matter than smoothly moving traffic.
Absolutely. And that's a great example. And I know there's a lot of engaged neighbors and citizens in these neighborhoods as well, that I'm sure as this project moves forward, we'll let you know. I want to go and hop on to the questions that we have over here in the chat. First, we have from Mr. White. Hello, Mr. White. How are you this evening? He says, regarding Mesa, we were told this would just be a resurfacing project, and as such, there was an opportunity to consider public input on safety features. It turns out this was much more than a resurfacing project. When can we talk about making Mesa safer for all road users, especially in light of TXDOT's Road to Zero commitment?
Well, we work with the city and the city's bike plan in order to choose the routes that are good for cyclists. Unfortunately, you know, Mesa is a state highway. It's 2 lanes. There are two or three lanes in each direction, and it is not a great place to ride bikes because the speed limits are what they are, and as a state highway, we are, you know, looking at mobility in that regard. I think that the more we see it getting built up, and I think that there's the opportunity for the city's bike plan to take people around there where possible. But as it gets more built up and there are more sidewalks, I know cyclists aren't fans of sidewalks. We're not really fans of people on sidewalks, but I mean, people mixing with pedestrians and bicycles on sidewalks. But it was actually a full depth repair, and that's what it remains. And so it really isn't more than what we said. It's a rehabilitation, a pavement rehabilitation project, not merely, you know, not just a mill like we see on some locations like I-10 right now on the east side, getting just a mill and fill. That's an overnight thing. Full depth repair, but it was not acquiring any right of way. It wasn't changing the footprint of Mesa in any way.
Great, thanks for that. We have a question from, I apologize if I mispronounce your last name, Mr. Gaspar Gena or Gena, I'm not really sure, apologies. Will the diamond grinding also solve the uneven surface in front of the bus stop close to Mesa and Festival? This was a problem before the resurfacing project, and it is worse now.
Yes, they will be grinding that down too.
Okay. So this is a question for Mr. Olmos. And this is, I think we touched upon it right now with a little bit with the conversation regarding sound mitigation, but what work will be done to improve the zones where the living communities are impacted, not just by traffic in terms of capacity, but also mitigating the noise pollution generated by the large amounts of 18-wheelers, its impact and deterioration of properties due to vibrations generated by these vehicles, and the improvement in the area in general, since this was built with the traffic in mind from the time it was built around over 20 years ago, relating towards the Arcraft corridor. And so.
Well, I don't think when we built it over 20 years ago, we even knew that UP was going to build their giant yard out there. But
you'll be having meetings, you said, with the public as this project goes along.
That's right.
So they can clearly impact the concerns about noise pollution and noise mitigation in this area, correct?
That's right. I want to be clear about the sound studies and the sound meetings that we have. I mean, the meetings that we have about the results of the sound study, if you are an adjacent property owner, your property abuts that highway, you will receive a letter from TXDOT. So that will talk about this. If you rent and you don't own, you need to check with your landlord and make sure that they let you know when that happens. They are the actual person that has a vote, but you can talk to them about it and influence them and encourage them to vote. You do not have to attend the meeting in order to vote. We do work hard. We make sometimes 3 or more attempts to get people to weigh in on a sound wall, but for those to whom that applies, I'm just going to add that little caveat. You've got to make sure that you watch your mailbox for that notice.
And can the city write a letter in support of sound mitigation as well? You
can write a letter. And of course, when you speak in general of sound mitigation, let's all get on the same page on that for sure. But when it comes to like a specific sound wall, the city would not have a vote it's the property owners that are adjacent that would have the vote.
Okay,
That's
We
not
got-
to say that you can't talk about, more generally, the effects of sound on, the general health and well-being of the neighborhood, environmentally speaking.
thank you. We have a question from Steve. He says, what is happening with Loop 375 and Campbell and Kansas? I think he might be meaning the entrance and exits off of downtown, which I think might be, I don't know if it's Campbell and Kansas and then also Oregon as well.
So what's happening there is that we are making Oregon ingress and egress again, and we are adding medians there, and we are adding the wrong way driver system, and that work is underway right now. So in a few months, you will see that Oregon exit off of Loop 375. I do not believe Campbell will become an exit again because the rate of speed of people exiting there at Campbell goes straight into a crosswalk for the elementary school there. So that was not a good mix. And so we are probably not going, I don't believe the plans include egress from Loop 375 up north on Campbell anymore. We worked with the city and we collaborated with nearby like the CBP that's right there, and it's Oregon. Oregon will be your place where you can access downtown from Border West Expressway in the westbound direction. This was always only about westbound direction since the earlier meetings designing this project, when the leadership in the city at the time, I believe, wanted to not have an exit there in downtown. And instead we ended up with the wonderful, super viable Coles Paisano interchange, where now you can access downtown and get in and out of downtown at the Border West Expressway in both directions at that interchange. And it's really a nice place to get on and off. I use it many times.
Great. We have a question from Mr. Reyes, R. Reyes 9, who has a question relating to recent work on I-10. He wanted to relay it verbally, so I've unmuted you, Mr. Reyes, if you'd like to go and ask your question to Ms. Wright.
Okay, great. Eric, can you hear me? Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. I appreciate the presentation and the future work that's going to be done by TXDoT along I-10 and the improvements that are going to be made there, especially here on the west side, since I live here on the west side. And my question pertains to that project as well as the past, most recent project of I-10 and the issue of completion of projects and the attention to details and aesthetics, in particular regarding landscaping. Peter knows that I've brought up issues of landscaping in the past, but landscaping, as we know, does a lot for a community, and aesthetics of a community. It makes an impression on those traveling in and through a city, but it does a lot psychologically to a community when you have good landscaping, nice landscaping, or landscaping at all, right? But what I'm wondering is, for example, the landscaping seems to be non-existent or left much to be desired along I-10, especially on the west side with the recent I-10 project. There are many sections on the side of the highway, for example, and in the medians where there's just sand or dirt, where xeriscaping can or should be, for example. I've seen in Tucson and Phoenix, Albuquerque, where trees like mesquites and palo verdes are strategically placed and beautifully placed along highways like an I-10, because I-10 passes through those cities, except for Albuquerque, of course. But in the end, the project seems incomplete, where there seemed to be a lack of careful attention to these details in the aesthetics in the form of landscaping. Does TXDoT plan on improving the aesthetics of I-10 on the west side with landscaping and beautifying that could beautify our city more, and it gives a much better impression of the city? I feel like driving through that part on the west side, weekly, I'm wondering where's the landscaping? Where is it? There's going to be an indication that this project is complete through something like xeriscaping and landscaping that beautifies the city, because like, as I mentioned, it looks like there was not much attention given to that detail of the project. And frankly, it's sometimes kind of embarrassing to drive through to see that the lack of detail and attention to that detail in terms of beautification on that part of I-10.
Yeah, I agree. And it's true that there's a couple places where we've made the commitment to come back and do some, you know, in a separate project to come back and try to improve. And one is at the Mesa Street change. I don't know when that's supposed to start, but that is an area where we feel as though we could definitely improve on the xeriscaping. Unfortunately, budgetary constraints leave us with the hardscaping. And in some cases, in some places that you mentioned, we didn't even have that. With the completion of Mesa Park, we still haven't completed the hardscaping in that area. And Mesa Park is that segment that goes from Executive, just before Executive, in that new Mesa Park interchange that we built in anticipation of the increased growth around the Montecito area, and the city completing Mesa Park from Mesa right below Angry Owl to that interchange, to I-10 to meet up with that. But yeah, in a lot of cases, we're left with, you know, trying to make it attractive by hardscaping, which is also saves maintenance. It's very difficult to weigh the value of something that is a matter of taste preference for greenery with the risk that we put our employees at when we put them out there to work to maintain and clean the xeriscaping. And those of us who grew up in the desert, like I did, know that everything out there has points and stickers and will grab hold of trash like nothing, like nobody's business, right? You can't just, you know, walk through the desert in shorts because everything is going to stab you. And those same plants catch a lot of plastic debris and all of that. So we could have xeriscaping in some places we do, but it does seem to be a repository where just those, you know, the vegetation we have does snag, you know, all the trash that blows through. And so we're kind of torn. And there are some places, of course, where we can do a better job of xeriscaping, where employees could safely then access to maintain it. But again, it's a question of, you know, weighing those priorities and, you know, trying to make something attractive while we're not spending a lot of funds on it and not having to look at a lifetime of maintenance on it.
Okay. Thank you again, Ray. We got a question from Miss Marshall Carter Tripp. Happy belated birthday, Miss Carter Tripp. How do the projects you talked about tonight connect to the proposed redo of I-10 through West Side over to Copia and beyond? I think she's talking about the sort of downtown.
The Downtown 10 project.
And how will all this be financed? And how can we get around at all on the West Side?
Okay, hold on there. So the Downtown 10 project is a separate project, just made it into the Unified Transportation Plan with barely a little bit of funding, meaning basically we got the green light to go ahead and keep planning that project. The projects that we're talking about now, like the I-10 widening, luckily we already have frontage roads there and we're widening to the inside. So we expect that, you know, we'll suffer kind of like we did on the Go 10 project, where, you know, there will be some overnight closures, but I mean, we tried to maintain mobility there as best we could. But in that case, we had to build the CD lanes first so that we could steer traffic onto them, and then rebuilt the main lanes, and all the freeway traffic was on the CD lanes before we could open again. In this case, it's going to be different because, you know, might have to narrow a lane on I-10 while we're building in there, but, you know, we'll still have the frontage roads as, you know, to detour traffic onto. So hopefully that one won't be quite so painful. I haven't seen the phasing on it yet, and I don't know what's in store precisely, but I do know that we do have the benefit of existing roadways there and that we're only widening to the inside. So that should be not too dramatic of an impact.
And the downtown project, when, I mean, from, if I understand the timelines loosely, the I-10 expansion on the west side from Upper Valley Mesa to New Mexico State line, that would be wrapping up before the downtown I-10 project would even start, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Now, there were some other questions in there, Marshall. What?
Yeah, she was asking how will all these projects be financed and how can we get around it all on the west side?
Oh, okay. So the financing, TXDoT has its 10-year plan, the Unified Transportation Plan. That's always a rolling 10-year plan. And we know how many, you know, billions, we have roughly, you know, $3 billion a year or so. Maybe it's 5. I would have to do the math. Let's see. Maybe we have about $7 billion a year that we're letting projected over the next 10 years. But, you know, we'll only let projects for the amount that we have. So we're not going to overspend in any way. But typically that money gets divided among 25 districts of in TXDoT. And some of it's formulaic based on populations and rainfall. And, you know, we get 12 different categories of funding that they distribute, everything from maintenance to discretionary to, I mean, there's.
Yeah, Miss Tripp clarified, she's asking about financing. She's asking about financing as Texas as a whole has lost revenue during the pandemic.
Well, you know, again, because we have a 10-year plan and we haven't actually seen a huge reduction, but we balance our budget so that we're only ever spending what we have at any given point. You know, in our projection, it changes. If the money's not there, we're not going to spend it. But that's the beauty of planning 10 years out. We've had plans on the books at TXDoT here in El Paso for 20 years that, you know, before they actually, you know, became real projects that completed. I know that because I met one of my first friends at TXDoT was a woman in design, and when I got to TXDoT, we were just wrapping up the outer loop 75 and I-10 far on the east side with the clover leaves and all that. All of that was just finishing, and that was the first project she worked on when she got to TXDoT 20 years before. So, I mean, we have a very long timeline. I always joke that it's like geologic time. You know, we plan and plan and plan, and when the money comes, we build and build and build. So we're not going to be, you know, we're going to only spend the money we have, whatever that is. We have a 10-year plan, but as I said, it's a rolling plan that gets updated quarterly, basically.
Great. If we have one quick question relating, if you can just, I guess, go from the beginning of the presentation, kind of just go through each slide really quick, just a couple seconds on each slide. There was a request. And then also we have a comment from Mr. Olmos. I think this is in relation towards the upcoming ArtCraft project meetings, as well as the signatures. He's directly affected by the noise pollution on ArtCraft, and it's been with the rise of traffic and noise for over 7 years, and we have not heard about that being done by TXDoT at all, I guess, in terms of any sort of public meetings or something. So he's looking forward to these public meetings and whatever's, I guess, signatures would have to be collected and that sort of thing. So
I'm sorry, the question is about the
I think it was just I think the question was just in response towards there being public meetings and an opportunity to engage. I don't know if Mr. Olmos, if you want to unmute yourself, if you want to communicate what you were saying before a little bit more.
No, that's on the,
Okay.
my dog's getting ready to bark at your dog in the background. Well, I mean, what can I say? If you live by a highway and there, it increases in traffic, I don't know, you know, that's not something that we, you know, we build highways to accommodate what's going on, and sometimes, but not all the time, we're able to plan ahead and, you know, look at what's you build for future growth. This art craft project is just an example of, you know, it's already jam packed and we're just coming in with the project.
Yep.
It has to do with funding, and we can't always predict what changes are going to occur in any given location. So sometimes we're reacting, and we try to be as proactive as possible. And believe me, if we waited, you know, this is like a 2023 letting on this. So by then we're going to be screaming for it, you know, for the improvements. And hopefully with those direct connector ramps, you know, there's going to be, you know, maybe smoother flowing traffic and maybe less congestion. That's always our goal, is greater mobility.
Okay. So again, if you don't mind, if you could send us the presentation as well tonight, we'll send it out to anybody that's interested in this. And also, this is being recorded right now, so our conversation here and Ms. Wright's presentation will be available this Friday on our next email newsletter as well. So that is something there. Two, I want to thank you again, Ms. Wright, for taking the time, for taking a lot of time today to give very extensive answers and information here relating to all the projects. I will go and give you a virtual hand clap as well. So thank you again. A lot of exciting projects going on. If you don't get our text message traffic alerts, please try to sign up for them at least before the first quarter of January of 2022, when we're going to all be dealing with the new mess of I-10 being expanded, which needs to happen. But yes, it'll be a slight inconvenience for us as well. So thank you again, Ms. Wright, on behalf of District 1.
Thank you for having me.
So really quick, I know that we have a second presentation here. I'm going to be introducing briefly Laura Butler, who is the new Executive Director of Pioneers 21. She will be passing it off to their, I guess, Assistant Director, Adam Marshall, and both of them will be giving a great presentation on a really important organization and entity within our community relating to tech and innovation and supporting of small business. So Laura Butler started her career in the banking industry in 2002 with Wells Fargo. She has held several management positions and became the Small Business Vice President in 2013. As a national small business leader, she was responsible for championing small business for Wells Fargo within the El Paso community and across the nation. Laura built a strong network of partnerships to empower entrepreneurs in many communities. She's worked with small business banking leaders at Wells Fargo and created financial education programs that help guide entrepreneurs' small business journey across the country. 2014, she received the Access to Capital Award for Leadership and developed the Hablemos de Dinero program, a partnership with the El Paso Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. She's been recognized nationally by the U.S. Department of Commerce Minority Enterprise Development Center for providing small businesses with access to capital. She's received awards from the Texas Association of Mexican American Chambers of Commerce, as well as Financial Service Champion by the SBA. Her work has inspired chambers across the country to create programs that help provide the tools and resources for minority entrepreneurs to maintain a successful business. In 2020, Butler led a national team through the Paycheck Protection Program, a government relief fund created again to financially support small businesses through the COVID-19 pandemic. In late 2020, she became board president for the Association of Latino Professionals for America. And most recently, in early 2021, Laura has become the new executive director for a local nonprofit incubator, Pioneers 21, which we'll learn more about today. And so in addition to that, Ms. Butler has been very active in different organizations, including the LFOPA board president, the Women's Business Border Center Council, El Paso Chamber of Commerce Business Development, AVANCE, EPC Women's Conference Committee, as well as the United Way's Engage Committee and many, many other groups, as well as the Aspen Institute Latino Business and Entrepreneur Initiative. And she's also a proud graduate of EPC's Leadership El Paso Class 36 and is a proud UTEP minor. Picks up. Ms. Butler and Mr. Marshall, thank you so much for taking the time today. I'm sure you guys could only be more excited about learning more about our roads and streets and TXDoT, but we're very much interested in hearing more about Pioneers 21 and all the great work that you're doing here in our community. So thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you for having us, Representative Schwarzbein. I was just sitting here thinking, well, I live on the other side of the mountain off of MLK and 54. So most days it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood on my way to downtown off of 54. But interesting to hear all those traffic concerns that you all have out there. Anyhow, very important topic. And again, we're grateful to be here. I'm gonna stay on for a few minutes. I have another commitment coming up. But I want to share just some important work that we've been focusing on over the last several weeks. So first off, if you haven't heard of Pioneers 21, you may have heard of the Hub of Human Innovation, which is what we were formerly known as. And we're on the corner of Paisano and Overland, downtown, second floor. But we are not just here to serve downtown. We actually serve the entire community, and that's why we're here. We want to see you all more often. We want to get invited to your neighborhood meetings and business association meetings over on the west side, so that we can talk to you about what's happening at Pioneers 21 and also what we can bring to the neighborhood. So as far as our board of directors, we are wanted to share that with you so you could see the wonderful support that we have and who is on our board. And they're just really a great group of diverse individuals that have been providing guidance to us throughout this entire time. I actually served on the board before on the Pioneers 21 board before I started to work there. So as far as what are we doing at Pioneers 21, we focus on 3 domains. Our work around our 3 domains. So for our next slide, we focus on business incubation, entrepreneur events, as well as a lot of work around civic engagement, which is something that I'm extremely passionate about. A little bit about our incubation. And then Adam, after this, if it's okay with you, I'll turn it over to you. Yeah. So our incubation, which is on the next slide, a little bit about our incubation is that a couple of things, right? So we offer space and infrastructure and operational support services, which really, if you know somebody that doesn't have a brick and mortar, is working from home, but really needs that office space to be able to meet with clients or with a team that they're building, we've got that space available. Furnished co-working space, meeting rooms, high-speed internet, mail delivery, conference rooms, and just all of the facility benefits that come along with being in an office space. We also offer strategic support and partnerships, so we connect entrepreneurs with advisors, investors, different business services, as well as technical assistance. Today, actually, there was one of our clients that is a woman-owned business, and she's actually interested in registering as a woman-owned business. So we've been mentoring and coaching her through her startup, and just registering somebody as a woman-owned business is not something that we do, but we have an amazing partner with the Women's Border Center. So we were able to get her an appointment there, and they're going to be able to help her out and do that. But what's great about that is that it's just, that's part of being just in this group of such a wonderful ecosystem in El Paso, where it's just a huge group of business organizations that are working together to ensure that entrepreneurs have the right support. Along with our incubation, we have our coaching and mentoring service. So we work with you through idea validation, business model design and development, business plan assessment, gap analysis, and just a number of other things, especially working with you around how to prepare for access to capital, which is extremely important. Without capital, we're just not going to survive as a small business. So something that we're really proud of is Adam and I, along with Dr. Nove from the College of Engineering at UTEP, just got licensed through the MIT Venture Mentoring Service, which is another project of that Pioneers 21 is planning to start in the fall. So Dr. Novik will be our lead mentor, and Adam and I will work on continuing to build our mentor team. And what will happen through this process is that through the MIT methodology, we will be supporting entrepreneurs and providing them with this mentorship and feedback to help them launch or scale their business. We're a huge part of fostering economic development. As a matter of fact, the Economic Development Department with the city is a huge supporter, and that is how we've been able to stay open through the last 10 years, is with support of the city. We also offer several workshops as well as events, our Pioneer Series events, seminars, and events that are just focused around conversations that feature local entrepreneurs and innovation leaders. One particular area that we've been working on for the past several weeks is our Innovation Accelerator workshops. And this is where I'm going to hand it over to Adam, because this is something that is his passion and that he's been working on launching. And it's something that we haven't done before, but it's turning out to be just amazing for the community. It's a free accelerator workshop series. And we've got people that are already enrolled for it. And Adam will tell you a little bit more about that. Thank you for your time. Adam, are you there? You're on mute. There you go.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Great. You may hear my child in the background. He's joining me, I guess, for the meeting. So, but thank you, Laura, for the introduction, and Peter for having us today. We are excited to be launching our innovation workshop series, which will be helping people learn skills and tools to help you design, test, and grow new business ideas, new services and products before taking them to market. We'll cover scoping, problem exploration, solution development, business model design, and pitch design throughout 8 workshops over a little over 3 months. They're free and open to the public. Anybody that is an entrepreneur or even not an entrepreneur at any level, students, creative professionals that are interested in innovation. But you'll learn some basics about design thinking, the lean startup, business model design, and learn 22 plus innovation tools that you can use at home. In addition to the acceleration workshops that we're doing, we're also involved with the Bridge Accelerator program, which is a binational supply chain accelerator focused on the manufacturing industry here in the region. Roughly 96 or 98% of the supplies, equipment, and materials that are needed for the local manufacturing industry are provided by outside regional companies. And this is a partnership with the Technology Hub in Juarez and sponsored by Microsoft. We're currently getting ready to start the 5th cohort. And it's open to any suppliers that have worked at any level in the manufacturing industry that are interested in learning more. It's also a more focused niche accelerator program. If you have any questions about either program, you can reach out to us through our website or directly contact me at the office. I'll put my email and phone number in the chat. If Laura is still not with us, she may have had to join another meeting. I'd be happy to talk more about our incubator program and or past clients and or share anything you may be interested in.
Adam, thank you again. And I think Ms. Butler had to step off, but thank you again for you and for your great presentation of the work you're doing with Pioneers 21 and for Ethan's assist here as your PA. Can you talk a little bit more about this workshop that you have going on? So it's 8 classes over 3 months, completely free. Don't have to be an entrepreneur. You can be retired, you can be working, you can be a student. What kind of value do you think this workshop series over the next few months will bring to El Pasoans?
So this is really a user-friendly entry-level workshop, but it is high intensity. There's going to be a lot of group involvement, but it's open to anybody that's interested. So you could be a student, you could be a professional, you could be part of a team, you could be an executive management, you could be an entrepreneur. Well, we all have ideas, and there's a lot of people don't know necessarily how to develop their idea, how to communicate it, but most importantly, to validate it, to really learn about, do people actually want this? Is it valuable? Will it help somebody? Not just with a product, but also with a new service or internal operations in your business. Innovation management gives you a better perspective of how to test and learn before making big decisions that could be high risk. And you can use these tools for not just business, but you can use them in your own life. So in a lot of it, it's really focused on learning from design, learning from human empathy, and learning how to problem solve through creativity. But it's open to anybody in the community. It's free, it's in person. The workshops will be for 4 hours, once roughly every 2 weeks from 1 to 5 p.m. at our offices. And the only thing that people need to bring with them would be something they can access the internet on, something like a laptop, a computer, even their phone. And anybody that's involved with a project or a venture that may be part of their team or friends that are just interested in developing new ideas. We won't be going into depth in certain subjects, for example, go to market or capital and investment. We'll be mostly focused on learning how to understand a problem, develop ideas that could be solutions, test and validate them, and make sure that people can learn to have answers to important questions of like, how do you know it's going to work? So it should be pretty interesting. We have a good amount, different group of people that are registering. But I imagine some people will show up and have no ideas, but they just want to learn.
Well, it sounds really interesting, and I can tell you a lot of the presentations I've seen with Pioneers 21, different events y'all were doing before COVID, brings a lot of value to our community. So I just want to thank you and Ms. Butler again for taking the time. If anybody else has any questions, again, please don't hesitate to put them up in the comment section. Adam is going to also leave his email address too with Pioneers 21. If you have any questions or you want to sign up, if you go to that next slide again, if y'all want to sign up again, it'll be starting basically next week. We'll start with this Innovation Accelerator Workshop Series, which should be really, really interesting for folks as well. So you can see the schedule there if that works with your schedule, or you know other people that might like this. Again, please don't hesitate to reach out at pioneers21.org or to reach out to Adam. Adam will put his, Adam, what is your email address at Pioneers21? It's Adam at pioneers21.org. Boom. Okay, there we go.
You muted me.
That's all right. Tell Ethan we all say hello in District 1, which is Ethan the best as well. So lots of stuff going on right now. I'm really excited. Again, want to thank Ethan and Adam and Ms. Butler for your presentation. I want to thank Ms. Wright again for her quite informative presentation as well with all the TXDoT projects going on. Just want to go and again thank Ms. Luz Esquivel, our office manager over here at District 1, and our chief of staff, the notorious Larry John Porras as well, for all the work that y'all are doing to make this meeting and every day happen for District 1. Any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to reach out, District 1 at elpasotexas.gov or 915-212-1002. And again, we also have this guided museum tour for the Museum of History with staff from MCAD, with curator Erica Marine, and I believe even Ben Fife might make a position well, and he is the director of the Museum of Culture's Affairs Department as well. If you want to come for that guided museum tour, check out the Lowrider Show for the last weekend. It's going to be open, as well as the other exhibits at the Museum of Art as well. RSVP by emailing us at district1 at elpasotexas.gov. We're just trying to get a good head count as well. We'll be meeting 2 o'clock in front of the Museum of History this Saturday, July 24th for that. So again, thank you again, everybody, for taking the time to be here today. I'm going to go walk pumpkins in Manolo because they haven't been walked yet, and my dogs deserve their afternoon walk. Again, thank you, everybody, for taking the time to be here. We will go and see everybody next month for our community meeting. We'll let you know what that's going to be on, whether it be in person or virtual or probably a hybrid. I think right now, even if we do return to our in-person monthly community meeting, we'll still offer an option for it to be virtual as well. Stay tuned for how we figure that out technically, but it will happen. Again, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jennifer, Adam, Luz, and John, and for all those others that are on here. Take care, enjoy the rest of your week, and have a safe weekend out there. And if you're not vaccinated, please go out and get vaccinated. Thank you, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody. Have a nice evening.